Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the show. Hope everybody is doing well. Can you believe we're at the end of November already? That's just bonkers. So I hope everyone has had a good week and a good weekend, especially with Thanksgiving and all of that. So to my US friends, I say, I hope you've had a great Thanksgiving. I have plenty of American friends over here in Scotland, so I've been talking to a number of my friends and their families, and celebrating Thanksgiving and all of that. So it's been nice, and yeah, it's been a busy time for me because obviously we don't have Thanksgiving here as an official holiday in Scotland. So that means when the US office is closed, I'm still working. So yeah, so I've had to keep going all the way through Thursday, Friday, and so yeah, it was a busy time, but you know, that's just par for the course. I get St. Andrew's Day, which will be next week. I think it's Tuesday, I think it is. So I will be off and everyone else won't be. So I'll be the only Scot having the day off on Tuesday, so it's going to be cool. Looking forward to it. So yeah, hope everyone's all right. I did say at in the chat there that I'm not in tip-top condition at the moment. I had a bit of a bad night last night. I'm okay. I'm gonna be fine. I'm just pretty exhausted. I'm not really 100% with it at the moment. So please do kind of bear with me. If you got questions, get them in the chat now and make them good. So that I don't have to think about anything else except good questions from you guys. You guys are the best, so I'm expecting high quality camaraderie and high quality questions for you guys. Do you have Groundhog's Day in Scotland? Not officially, no, but sometimes every day can feel like Groundhog Day, especially in the winter, because our days in Scotland are so short. The sun will come up, will start coming up, just as I'm getting ready to get the kids out the door for school, and then, sun will be setting kind of just before they're home. So the days are short at this time of the year, so it can kind of feel a little bit like that. But it is what it is. But interesting question nonetheless. Now, I had one question on Facebook, which I'm going to get to. And there's a question also in the chat about the Presence XT saxophone and how to make that sound good. So we will tackle both of those, at least to get started, and then we'll go from there. And Mike is absolutely right. Please make sure to put at Jonny Lipsham Studios before your question. That way I get to see it. And I can, kind of separate those out from amongst just your general chat. Otherwise, I have to kind of scroll through and find questions. But if I see my name lit up like that, because that's what it does for me. You guys won't see it lit up like that, but for me, it's lit up in red. It's lit up in red, so I get to see my name lit up in red, and that just helps me kind of discern what's a question for me and what's just general chat. So it's easier for me to find. All right, so let's get to the Facebook question first. I have to get Messenger open. And the question is, my friend is tuning into the show tonight. Hello, whoever you are. I'm glad you're here, and you're brand new to DAWs, and you've just got Studio One Artist. And the question is, can I do a quick demo of importing a music file and adding a stock reverb and mastering stock plugins and exporting the mix down? Yes, I can certainly do that. Now, a little caveat here. There isn't really a stock mastering plugin as such. There are plugins which one can use in a mastering context. Now, if you have Studio One Artist, you don't have access to the project page, but that can, that should not stop you being able to do any mastering. Especially if you're mastering just an individual song, you can bring your mastering file, your stereo 2-track mix down, you can export it, and then you can bring it into a new song in Studio One Artist, and then you can apply plugins to the main output. Or when you finish mixing your song, you can put an EQ, a compressor, and a limiter on the main output, and sweeten it and then get it up to the the broadcast loudness standards and all of that fun stuff to make sure that your music is at that kind of commercial volume that you'll need to compete with other music in your genre. So we can do that. That's pretty easy. Now, the piece of music that you heard at the start there was a piece that I originally wrote for a brass band called Softly Spoken, which I then rearranged a little bit to include a rhythm section. And I reharmonized it a bit because it was originally fairly straight in terms of harmonic style and context and stuff. It was actually fairly straightforwardly brass band. It was meant to be kind of a little bit hymn-like, and then I kind of just reharmonized it so it had a little bit of a jazzier kind of sound, and added a rhythm section, which is recorded in one of my old studio rooms. Those of you that have been around for a long time, you may well remember my tiny little box room. Well, that piece was recorded in that box room. So I basically had people come in to that tiny little box room and record their parts 2 at a time. So I had trumpets first. There were 4 of those, so I had them record in pairs of 2, pairs. So we had 2 pairs of 2 trumpets, and then we had trombones, then we had French horns, then we had alto horns, and then we had tuba, The tuba guy came in and did his part separately. And then the rhythm section parts I did all by myself. So I'm playing guitar, upright bass, piano, and drums on that. So I did all of that in that tiny little box room. So, and made it sound really huge, which is no mean feat when you record in a tiny box room. But it worked. So let's get to this question and get this out of the park. So I'm going to switch over to Studio One so you can see what we're doing. So we're going to take one of the pieces that I've got here, and we're going to, just kind of sweeten it up a little bit and give it some punch, maybe a little bit of ambience, maybe. We'll see what we have. Let's see. What can I use that's mine, that I'm allowed to use? And I can put something on. Let's maybe go with this one. And I'm going to bring this in here. And I don't even know if this is at the correct tempo. I might need to up the tempo on this. So let's just check it first. Alright, so this is a piece that comes from the Persona Symphonic Orchestra from the music loops section, and all of those music loops, by the way, are created by my very good friend Lucas Rudziska, who is a fantastic composer, arranger, piano player. He's a way better piano player than I am. He's a wonderful musician, and he's a good friend. And you'll know him because he's one of the moderators over in the Persona Studio One Facebook group, if you are over there. And he's a cool dude. And I'm being messaged galore here, and I don't know why I'm being messaged galore. Anyway, I'm going to ignore it for now. Alright, so what we're going to do with this is we are going to check out what our average level is. So I'm just going to park myself in the middle of the track. And we're pretty good. But it could be a little bit beefier, perhaps. And maybe it could do with just maybe a smidge of a little bit of ambience, and maybe a tiny hair of room reverb. And so we can do that from the effects tab pretty easily. So let's go and grab the room reverb because it's nice and simple and easy, and everybody should have this. Where is it? There it is. So we will stick this on Ascend on this song here, and we'll cut that down just a little bit, and we don't want a massive reverb, maybe about that. Let's try this. Yeah, that sounds pretty good. Now, what I tend to do with reverbs, and I've done a video on this before, is I tend to put an EQ after it or before it. Doesn't really matter particularly. But I like to roll off some of the low end of the reverb itself, and then some of the high end as well. So I don't want it to be too kind of getting in the way of the high end of the mix and not creating a buildup of low end and low mids. So that's what I tend to do. And I'll maybe do some more kind of detailed EQing of the reverb itself. But to save time, I'm just going to leave it like that. All right, so This is gonna be quite good fun, I think. So what we'll do now is we'll maybe do a little bit of EQ to the overall master. We'll just maybe roll off just a little bit of the rumble that's kind of sub 35 ish, roughly. I don't think there's any build up around 500, but we'll check. We're pretty good. Low mids are pretty good. Maybe you can do sweeping up just a little bit. Open up the top end a bit. Yeah, that looks pretty good for kind of rough and ready, down and dirty kind of thing. And then what we'll do finally is we'll go and grab the limiter. And we'll stick this on the post section here. Now, what I tend to do with the limiter, and not everybody does this, but this is what I do. And the reason why I do it is to avoid something called intersample peaking. So if you set these to 0, which is kind of what they are set at default, what you can find is that you can still get little bits of distortion pass through the limiter and not get caught by it. And the reason for that is because the peaks, the overs, are taking place between the samples, which is why it's called intersample peaking. And that can create little artifacts and distortions that can be audible, and you don't want those. So for that very reason, I set the threshold for the limiter to -1 so that I'm avoiding that from happening, because anything that goes over 0 can be caught by the limiter. But if I have it backed off to -1, that means anything over -1 will get knocked down by the limiter, so that if there are any intersample peaks, they will be caught by the limiter. And so we won't get the intersample peaking. So it's a good little protection against those, and it just means that your final master is gonna be good. And generally speaking, for this particular type of music, I don't want to see a whole lot of gain reduction. If we were doing something that's a little bit more rock orientated or heavier, going in towards metal, that kind of thing, then maybe you can kind of squash the dynamic range a little bit more. You can get away with maybe 3, 5, maybe 6 dB of limiting. But for right now, we're only looking at maybe 1.5, 2 at the very most, is what I like to do. So let's back it up again to where we've got a little bit more of a groove. There we go. Alright, so I think that's pretty good. I mean, it says here like 2.5 dB. That's alright. That's kind of within my upper kind of limits, really, of how much dB I want to be doing. You know, if I'm aiming for my average gain reduction to be around about 1.5 to 2 dB. So if I have the occasional little popover that's a little bit more, it's not a big deal. But if I'm doing a lot more than that, then I'm going to be concerned about reducing the dynamic range of this particular piece, because the drums drop out at a couple of points in this piece. So I want to make sure that, you know, throughout the whole piece, even when the drums drop out for that while, it sounds good. So, and you know, we're not forcing the listener to reach for the remote control to turn it up when the drums drop out. So I think this is pretty good. So once you're in this position and you've got something that's pretty good, you know, for example, in this particular case, I'm guessing that the person asking this question is perhaps wanting to maybe take a 2-track stereo file like we have here and is then wanting to rap over the top of it or provide, do some extra vocals on top of that track, and then kind of mix that and then master it in the song page and then export it. I don't for a second get your hopes up that I'm going to be doing any rapping here. I am not going to do any rapping. Trust me. I'm Scottish and I don't do very good at such things. So, I think this will do. So the other thing we're going to do is we're going to get a marker track open. We're going to select this event and we're going to press Alt, or I think it's is it Option on the Mac? I can't remember what Alt is on, or what the Mac equivalent of Alt is. But so I'm going to press Alt and Y, and what that does is that puts the end marker at the end, right at the end of my event, which is obviously going to be a little bit of a brutal cut off. So that's okay. I'm going to have it come to the end at the very the nearest end of the nearest bar, basically. So this finishes on beat 3. So we'll have it end on bar 61. And I think that's pretty cool. All right, so we're in good shape. So what we'll do is we will export this, and I have plenty of places that I can export this. I have a client files folder which I can stuff this into. Let's close that. Let's close that. And we'll close that as well. So if I was going to send this off to somebody, I would be sending this off via Dropbox. So I would maybe export this to this folder here. But what I'm going to do just for this instance is I'm just going to export it. Yeah, I will export it to my Dropbox. That's what I'll do. I'll export it to my Dropbox. That's fine. So I will go Song, Export Mixdown, and then I'll click this little 3-dot button here, and I'll go to Dropbox. And there's my client folder. I'm going to select that. And then I'm going to give this a name. And we're going to call it Symphonic Groove Remix. Symphonic Groove Remix. There we go. And we're going to do it as an MP3. But what if the client also wants a WAV file? Well, guess what? We can do that. And we'll have this at... let's do 32-bit float just for fun. Between start and end marker, that's all right by me. And then we'll close it after export. And then we'll just go boink. And now it's exporting. And there it's done. And as you can see, it has exported the 2 files. So we've got this one as an MP3 and this one is the WAV. And it's done. It's in the client folder. So now that will be going off to Dropbox land, and then my client can pick that up and they can do what they want with it, or what we have agreed can be done with it. And that's pretty much that. To be honest, that's how we do that. So I hope that answers that question. I think it was Mark that answered that question over at Old School Funk and Soul. He asked that question. Excuse me, snorting. All right, so let's go back. There was another question that I wanted to get. Let's see. Marcos has a question. He says, already used Studio One Pro demo. Can I reuse the demo but artist? No, you cannot. The demo is for 30 days only. As soon as that 30 days reaches completion, that is it. Your demo of the professional version is done, and it will revert to Studio One Prime. And then it is on you to, if you decide that you like the professional version and you want to use the professional features, such as things like pipeline, which is what you mentioned there, which is in the Pro version, then you can go and purchase it. If you already have Studio One Artist, then you can upgrade. If you don't have Studio One Artist, then you would need to put the demo cannot be upgraded, so you actually have to purchase it because the demo is free. Studio One Prime is free, so you cannot upgrade those, but you can just go and purchase a brand new version, a brand new copy of Studio One is what you would do. So hope that answers that question. Good one, though. Not a lot of people know that one. And I'm going to go up and try and find that other question that Secret Squirrel had. Would you be so kind as to demonstrate writing automation such as pitch modulation expression specifically with a MIDI instrument to MIDI notes already in Studio One? I ask because I have to use piano roll to input notes for the most part, but want to add expression afterwards with a MIDI instrument because I don't play piano. That's going to be a tricky one to demo in a quick way, because we've only got 30 minutes left of the show. But that is actually something I will do as a video, as a standalone video. I know I've kind of been a little bit slack lately for making standalone videos, but I have a whole bunch that I'm getting ready to roll out. So I will put that on my list. Because it's gonna take a little bit of time to do that, and I want to make sure that everybody gets their questions answered. So, Secret Squirrel, I hope you don't mind, but I will make that into a video for you, so that I can go into a little bit more detail than I can in the live stream. But that is a great question on how to basically just write things in with the piano roll and then add things like sustain pedal on and off and things like that you might want to do if you want to do, like, if you want to fake a piano part, for example, because you're not a piano player. That can be done, and it's how do I put this? It's going to take longer than actually just playing it on the piano. But if you don't have the piano playing skills, then you know this is going to be the only way that you can do it, really. So yeah, we can certainly do that. Things like sustain pedal on, sustain pedal off. I mean, you can use the chord track to help you as well. And there's actually some very cool little shortcut tools. I can show you at least a little bit of this. But I will go into much more depth in a standalone video. So if we just mute this guy for now because we don't need it, and we'll go instruments, and we'll go presence. And I've got some really, really, really nice piano sounds called the Concert Grand, and we'll get the open lid, concert open lid, which is a Steinway Concert Grand with the lid off. With the lid fully off, and it sounds very, very nice. Sounds, you know. So it sounds very, very nice and rich, actually. So if we wanted to fake a piano part, but we wanted to use the chord track to do it, so what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to remove this track completely because we don't need it. And I'm going to go to this here, and we're going to grab the chord track, and we'll just tap in a few chords here. Hang on, let me just undo that. Let's zoom in just a little bit. So let's let's tap in just a few of these, and we can change the chords in a minute. All right, so let's say we want to go C, and then we'll change this one to A minor 7, and we'll change this one to D minor 7, so we'll go where's D minor? D minor 7. And this one will be G7 and C. Oh, but we'll make this one a little bit more interesting sounding. So we'll make this one C major 7. So we got 4 chords. And then what we can do is we can basically just select all of those, and we can drag them all down like that. And now we have chords. It's a little bit hedge hoppy, which is what I call for going, you know, or, you know, that's kind of, I call that hedge hoppy. So what we're going to do is we're going to adjust this a little bit. First of all, I'm going to control B. I'm not going to control B this. I'm going to G it. So we merge it into one event. And I'm going to move some of these notes a little bit because it sounds a little bit unpianistic right now. So this is an A. We might keep that. Let's see, we'll bring this C down here. There's an E. I'll keep that as an E there. There we go. That's a little bit better. And then we've got a little bit more hedge hopping going on here. So there we go. That's a little bit better. And this D is a little bit... Oops. Thank you. There we go. All right, so I'm happy with those. So what we want to do now is we want to get some expression into this. So at the moment we've got the reverb that is built into this particular sound, and it is carrying hang on. It is carrying the sustain of the piano at the moment, and also the fact that these are all long notes. So let's just play this second. Let's take off that. All right, so we're kind of happy with this. So let's go to that's not what I wanted. So I mean, the fact that these are kind of long anyway, it kind of makes what we're about to do kind of a little bit moot. Why do I not see sustain here? We should have sustain. I don't know why we don't. There we go, sustain. We'll add that. All right, so we've got sustain in now. So what I can do is I can here put in a point to turn that on, then a point here to turn it off. Have that on. Point in to turn it off. And I'm putting it in just like I would if I was really actually playing it. So another point in there. Another point in there. Point there. Point there. And then the last chord. There we go. All right, so that's putting the sustain pedal on and off. All right, so now because this is a piano part, you're not going to be doing kind of lots of other expression, because basically you're just pressing a note. You know, you can't kind of like do a crescendo with a piano, because that just isn't a thing. You don't crescendo with a piano by holding the note down and building a crescendo. You'd have to, you know, you'd strike the note harder. to do that. But one of the things we can do with this is we can have a little bit of fun with it. So let's go and I have to try and remember how to do this. Randomize notes, use original pitch range. Apply scale. And then this should sound interesting. And then what we can do is we can... that's not what I wanted. We can fill with notes. Fill loop range. Fill it with some 16th notes. Okay, that didn't work either. Why did that not work? Fill with notes. Not quite sure why this is not working, but anyway. No. Okay. None of that is working. I don't know why. But anyway, you can play about with this, and you can play about with these actions, and you can create little arpeggio patterns and all sorts. But for some reason, it's not doing it. I don't know why it's not doing it. Yeah, I don't know why it's not doing it. But I've done this fill with notes thing before, and I don't know why it's not doing it. Fill between selected notes, maybe? Oh, maybe I'm not selecting anything. Maybe that's my problem. Select notes. Maybe I need to select all. And then maybe I need to do this. Fill with notes. No, still not doing it. Okay. You have to select notes first. Yeah, I just did that and it didn't do anything. I just selected the notes. See, I've selected the notes and then I've gone fill with notes and it's not doing anything. Nope. Did not do a thing. Randomize notes. Oh, well, that did something. Okay, yeah, that's a little bit ugly. Oh, maybe part of it is because this is not following the chord track. Yeah, I've selected the notes, Rich. You said select notes. I have selected the notes. You can see they are all selected. Fill with notes. Nothing. For some reason it's not working. Anyway, doesn't really matter too terribly much. This is kind of like for illustrative purposes, but you can have an awful lot of fun with that. So I'm not going to spend too terribly long on that. Would synths allow it? I don't know what you mean by would synths allow it. Would allow what? I'm not really sure what you mean. So I don't know. I don't know what you mean. Anyway, so that's kind of how you could do that. So I hope that helps. Set a wider range than a tight cluster of chords. All right, let's select all again. Go in notes. Let's do something like that. And that did nothing either. Changing that did not work. I know this works because I have done this before. Yes. Secret Squirrel, yes. Modulation types might be more workable with synths. Yes, you can change, you can draw in automation for all sorts of things with a synth. You know, for example, if we just grabbed Mai Tai for a second, and then if we go for, I don't know, I'm just picking random sounds here. And then, you know, let's just say you just want into, you know, just draw some notes in. All right, so I've just drawn in random notes. And then if I go back over here, and then if I go to modulation here, if I grab my pencil tool here again, I can draw in whatever I want here. All right, so you can do all kinds of things there. I don't know if there are any sound variations for this. No, there aren't. So we can't really play with those. But you could do pitch bend as well. That's always quite fun. Oh, yeah, I'm not sharing the screen. All right, let's just go back and do that. Yeah, I did accidentally mute my mic. Sorry, folks. But you can see what I was doing there, even if you couldn't hear me. Yeah, I had accidentally muted the mic. I don't know how I did that. But anyway, so you've got all these different things that you can do with the automation lanes here. Like I did a sine wave for the modulation and then freehand for the pitch bend. And you can do all of these after the fact. Yeah, I'm not muted anymore. I know for a fact I'm not muted because I can see it. But yes, I was. So yeah, I hope that helps. But yeah, that's just like, and just one indication of just a lot of the fun you could have, which is why I said that this will work better as a standalone video, because I can actually take time, whereas in a live stream I want to be able to deal with everybody's questions, not just maybe one or two. I want to try and get to as many people's questions as I can. So some things like this in particular would just be better done as a standalone video. So I will definitely do that as well. So yeah, absolutely I will. Look forward to the tutorial with MIDI instrument. It will help with MPE. Yeah, I don't have a device that has MPE, so I cannot demonstrate. Well, I've got the Atom SQ, but I've got the whole slider thing that you can use with the Atom SQ, and that's great fun. But otherwise, I don't have another MPE enabled device. But they're great fun. So for folks that want to stay for after show, Mike at Music to Motion has put up a Zoom for you guys to hang out at if you want to. Peace Valley Audio says, I would love to see a standalone video about the chord track. I did one for when we launched it with Studio One. When was it? 3.5 was it when the chord track came out? I think it was. There is a complete video on how the chord track works and things that you can do that are really, really powerful with chord tracks. So definitely check that out. You will find that on my channel. If you don't want to go through and search the Studio One 3.5 video series, just type in, hit the little, what is it? It's magnifying glass icon on my channel, and then just type in the search there, chord track, and all the videos that I've got on that will appear, and you'll be able to watch that to your heart's content. Let's see. Secret Squirrel says that's okay. All I need to see is the MIDI being written over the notes with the mod wheel. I'm sure it will work the same as MPE. Yeah, I mean, you can do all of this with the mod wheel. I mean, you said that you don't really have any keyboard skills, so I was going with just kind of doing it all in the piano roll here rather than actually, playing something. But if I was to just play something instead, so if I actually get rid of this event altogether, and if I just zero out everything, and I can use my pitch bend and my mod wheel, and I can just record something in. And as you can see, all the automation was recorded directly into Studio One there. You can see the modulation and you can see the pitch bend. So I hope that helps. So there we go. So yeah, I hope that helps. Mike says, what about all the new added features? The new added features to chord track? Yep, maybe I should do an updated video on chord track. In fact, I think for my overview video of Studio One 5.4, I actually demoed that there as well. But yeah, that's, I mean, this whole thing of just being able to grab the chords and drag them down into an instrument is insanely powerful. It's very, very cool. And it does mean that it makes creating something very, very easy. I mean, for example, if you've got a piece of audio that you know the chord track is going to very easily detect, you can just grab that audio, drag it up to the chord track, detect the audio, and then when you've got all of that, then you can just highlight all of the chords that it's detected, drag those into an instrument track, and you've got the chords for that piece of audio on a different instrument altogether. So let's say, you know, you hear something that you know sounds great, and you think, hey, wouldn't it be nice if I had that on a Celesta or a church organ or something like that? Then just detect the audio, detect the chords for the audio, and then drag that down to an instrument track, and you've got those in whatever instrument it is that you're after. Mike says, what you did on here I did not know about. I have watched that video. Yeah, well, I definitely did demo that. I'm pretty sure. Pretty sure that I demoed the fact that you can drag the chord track to an instrument, and the chords are put out onto the piano roll. And in fact, it's not just put out onto the piano roll. You can see it in the score editor as well. So if I went to keyboards, piano, and turn that into a grand staff, there we go. And those chords are in there. So you can look at it either with chord track in the piano roll or chord track, and drag that down to the same place to the instrument track, and then you can see it in score form as well, and you can print that out. So for example, if you want to transcribe something that's for piano, and you know, you've got the audio for the piano, you could try detecting that with the chord track, and then bringing that down to an instrument track, and see how much of it gets detected, and then you've got the score for that. So that is something you can do as well. So there we go. I hope that all of that helps, folks. We've got about 3 minutes left. You can certainly try it all. Yes, I know the camera is on me at the moment and not on the screen, so that's okay. So yeah, anyway, I think we should probably call it there, because I'm losing the will to live. Well, not live, but I'm losing the will to stay awake and to concentrate. So I apologize, folks. I have not been particularly with it tonight. Like I said, I'm not in tip-top condition, but I wanted to do a show because, you know, I didn't want to miss out on talking to you folks, because you guys are awesome. Can you change chords on the fly now? Yes, you can. So let's go back to this piano part. If I mute this, and I'm going to go back to the Studio One screen. Here we go. All right, so let's turn that into, I don't know, D flat minor instead, just for fun. Actually sounds quite nice. I think that sounds pretty good with the D flat minor instead. And let's make this into, oh, I don't know, let's go for a flat 7. There we go. Sounds pretty good. And you can, as you can see in the inspector at the side here, you can muck about with the order of these as well. So, you know, I could put that there instead. Oh, it's not going to let me muck about the order. I did this the other day, damn it. But you can certainly change things about up here. It sounds a bit weird though. So there you go. Hope that is entertaining and useful for you. Chord track is incredibly powerful and is just, you know, with every version of Studio One that comes out, chord track gets even more ludicrously powerful. Try it out. Try it out with audio. As well as MIDI. MIDI is obviously going to be detected a lot more easily because it's just notes. It's just note on note off values. That's easy for the chord track to deal with. It doesn't break a sweat. But try it out with, you know, something audio like guitar strumming or something like that. And try mucking about with those chords and see what you come up with. All right, folks, gonna leave it there. Thanks so much, everybody, for being here, and I apologize that I wasn't entirely 100% on the ball tonight, but hopefully I will be fit as a fiddle for Wednesday for Songwriting Simplified over on the Home Studio Trainer YouTube channel. Go check that out, and otherwise I will see you guys back here on Sunday, and hopefully we will be good for me doing a much better show, because hopefully I will not be quite so out of it at the moment. But yeah, we'll see. All right, folks, thanks a lot for coming, and I'm going to bid you all a very good night. Good night.